Hi everybody, my name is Miss Edwards. I am a New York City high school teacher, and I'm going to explain to you the supports that I provided for the multilingual learners / English language learners, MLL, ELL students in your social studies classes. In this video, I'm going to focus on the Passport to Social Studies curriculum, Unit 3, Mini Unit A, Unresolved Global Conflict, 1914 to 1945, World War I and World War II. This unit is for 10th grade, Day 1 Scale in History. So the focus question for this unit is, why is the concept of scale important when examining events in history? So the objective for this lesson is for students to examine the concept of scale. In the video that I made for students, it highlights the importance of digital storytelling as a support. As we navigate this new environment of distance learning, hybrid learning, digital storytelling is an important instructional support, and it's necessary for engaging our students. Scale is a challenging concept to understand on its own. And when you discuss scale in context of history, it gets even more complicated. However, scale is important for understanding history. So one phrase that I want the students to walk away with at the end of this unit is that events in history are not happening in isolation. They are connected. So here's a list of the different supports that I provided in the video, and I'm going to explain each of them. So, support number 1, background knowledge. One support that I provided in the student video is tapping into students' background knowledge of scale. I started with a low 6 example of how scale can be applied and how we use scale daily to describe our world. Okay, we use scale to help understand our world. So we zoom in and zoom out all of the time to understand. Okay, support number 2, define scale. So if you take a moment to look up scale in any dictionary, you're going to find at least 4 definitions for scale. For our students who are learning English in our classes, that could be overwhelming. It can be daunting. It's really important for us to be clear about which definition we want to focus on. Okay, so scale has many definitions, and it's important to highlight the one that we want and what it means in the context of history and our lesson. So I asked them to focus on the context. Direct students' attention to slide 13, where it has the definition for scale, which is scale is a tool used by historians to either zoom in on a particular place or a particular period of time, or zoom out to see a larger area or longer period of time. So support number 3, the students had to use scale to analyze pictures and scenarios. In this support, we gave students practice in applying which type of scale to use. So what do I mean? When is it appropriate to zoom in and when is it appropriate to zoom out? So I used 2 pictures with 2 scenarios, and the students had to determine if they needed to zoom in or zoom out. And they had to zoom in to help because it helped their understanding. So these were 2 examples of where it's not appropriate just to look at someone and make an assumption or look at a picture. You have to ask questions, you have to go deeper. And that's something I'm definitely going to explore in future videos when we focus on what it means to contextualize, because scale is all about getting students and their feet wet with contextualization. Support number 4. So you're using scale to analyze video. Similar to support 3, students had to determine when is it appropriate to zoom in or when is it appropriate to zoom out. These videos show the importance of focusing on the whole. Okay, so these resources were The Blind Men and the Elephant, which is a parable that shows the importance of not focusing on one part. My reason for picking this resource was to acknowledge that not everyone sees the same. There are many people who use their senses to make sense of the world, and I think it's important to highlight our differences. The last resource, The Danger of a Single Story, written by author Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, and this focuses on why looking at one description, one example, one experience, one opinion is extremely harmful. And I think that that's a lesson students need to get from this lesson. Support 5, we are going to focus on how to use scale to analyze the effects of the Haitian Revolution. So you have to focus on these 2 types of scale, spatial scale and temporal scale. When we analyze the events using spatial scale, we're zooming in and zooming out to think about how an event impacts individuals, the local community, the nations, regions, and the world. Temporal scale refers to time. When we analyze events using temporal scale, we are zooming in and zooming out to think about the immediate, short-term, and long-term effects of these events during a specific time period. So, as part of your lesson, be encouraging students to use the scale tool to analyze the effects of the Haitian Revolution. You can use this comic that says the revolution that gave birth to Haiti. I'm going to show you an example of a sentence that I wrote to model spatial scale. One of the important individuals was Jean-Jacques Dessalines, and he was one of the leaders of the Haitian Revolution, and he declared Haiti independent. As a model for temporal scale, one of the immediate effects was the Haitians burned down plantations where they had been enslaved. Thank you for watching. I hope this video helped. See you in the next video. Peace.